Dr. Marks embarked on a mission to rally support from Jews outside of Georgia.
He went up north, and he was able to obtain the services of Mr. Adolph Ochs.
Adolph Ochs was the most famous and respected publisher in America, and the New York Times is the most famous and respected newspaper in America. What he saw in the Leo Frank case was a miscarriage of justice, something that could not stand if it was exposed to the light of day.
Other prominent Jews argued that to publicly cry anti-Semitism would backfire and play right into the hands of anti-Semites. They thought it wiser to let Frank's case quietly work its way through the appeals process. Meanwhile, the New York Times intensified its coverage of the Frank case.
This was the first crusade that Adolph Ochs had ever embraced. The Times pulled out all the stops. They hired investigators to go back to re-examine all the evidence. They had reenactments.
Adolph Ochs commissioned a report that concluded that after Mary got her pay, Conley jumped and robbed her. Then he pushed her down the ladder to the basement, where he assaulted and killed her. Though Ochs chose not to publish the report or its photos, he was convinced they represented the truth.
What Adolph Ochs naively did not understand was that the resentment of the New York Times would be perceived as gross invasion on the part of outsiders, and especially Yankee Jewish outsiders.
The resentment was voiced by Tom Watson, a populist who had twice run for president. Now a celebrated defense attorney and publisher, Watson used his paper, the Jeffersonian, to rebut the New York Times.
Tom Watson was my great-grandfather. When Watson initially talks about the case, it is very clearly in Watson's mind a populist struggle. It is abuse of a working-class girl by a manager who is supported by money.
I think Tom Watson reacted in the way that many white Southerners did. You may welcome guests into your house, you may welcome guests into your community in a very warm, hospitable way. That Southern hospitality is very real. But the moment they begin questioning you, challenging you, it's a challenge to your honor.
He is reading the various press reports and is angered. Watson is also pointing out the fact that many of the newspapers are owned by Jews. Watson starts fleshing out the case, showing his readers the facts of the case and presenting the evidence to them.
Anybody who thinks that Watson's newspaper simply laid out the evidence needs to go and read it. It's filled with a kind of invective and overt anti-Semitism.
Watson did not shy from referring to Frank as a Jew pervert, lascivious Jew. More often than not, Watson referred to him as the filthy sodomite.